Hello beauties, it's your girl Wise, and I'm back at it with another video. Okay, so I wanted to explain a little bit on why I focus so heavily on wellness. If you watch my videos, you know I focus on mental, spiritual, and physical wellness as a whole, right? All three of them all together all the time. And the reason being is that those who know me personally know that I come from 3 generations of mental illness, unfortunately, and the main mental illnesses that affect those that I love are schizoaffective disorder, schizophrenia, and bipolar disorder. Okay, and those 3 mental illnesses also all have a genetic component. Alrighty. So me being the first in 3 generations to not be diagnosed with one of those 3 mental illnesses that have a genetic component makes for a pretty, health-driven lifestyle. I remember growing up, and my family being fearful of what things and what signs that I exhibit. If I had mood swings, if I had attitude issues, when I would shake my leg, when I would stare into space, all that kind of stuff, they would be like, stop doing that, you're going to be like your mother or your grandmother or things of that nature. And I immediately as a child knew that before I even knew what generational curse breaking was, that I was going to break this generational curse, just based off of that, right? And my family, they really, I love them for it, because they thought if they changed the mannerism, then they would change the outcome. And when you get older, you learn that nobody else can change another person's outcome. Only they have to invest in themselves to change their outcome. But it at least put it on my radar that I wanted to change my own outcome. Alrighty, and so I dedicated my whole life to understanding how to maintain mental wellness. Alrighty, so that's how it began for me. This wellness journey began with, honestly, fear. I was very, very fearful as a child that I would grow up to develop schizoaffective disorder or schizophrenia like my mother and my grandmother. When I got to college and I went to school for my undergraduate in human services with mental health emphasis, and that's when I learned that in order to keep your mental wellness correct, you also have to at all times address your spiritual and physical wellness, right? Those 3 operate like a diamond. Okay, to keep your mental up, you have to have a solid spiritual foundation, and then you have to work on your physical health, which is both in eating, what you intake, and then exercise, how you activate your body, right? And so that's what I spent most of my life studying. And even when I got out the military, I recognized stressors, right? So I remember growing up in my family being really sensitive to how they broke news to me, because they didn't want what they said to be, the straw that broke the camel's back mentally or whatever. But when I got out the military, I started recognizing stressors, that had been triggered, right? And so I immediately began working on those, because nobody had to tell me that there was something. When you know yourself, and when you spend that time dedicated to finding inner peace and dedicated to ensuring that that you stay mentally whole, you start to know what pushes your buttons real quick, real easy. Okay, and you start to know what things affect you in manners that they don't necessarily affect other people. And so so that's basically why I focus so heavily on mental, physical, and spiritual wellness. And the last component of that is in the beginning, I was operating out of fear. When I first took on this journey, it was a fearful one, obviously. I had motivations of why I didn't want to be like this. I had motivations of why I wanted to be a generational curse breaker. And what I tell anybody who sets out to break any generational curse, because I don't think nobody wakes up one day and says, I want to be a generational curse breaker. That's not how it happened for me, and that's not how it happens for most people. In fact, I think it's more of like an appointment. Like, I really feel like the Most High chooses you to say, you know, you're going to stop this here. Okay. And that is, you know, how I feel like you get into it, and then from then you understand the mission, and then you fight to continue the mission. But it is not an easy thing. Whenever you go out, set out to break a generational curse, it is not easy. There is healing that has to be done, generational healing, okay? And if you don't address what you see in others that need to be healed in yourself, then you won't be able to fully break that curse, right? And healing is not easy, okay? Healing hurts, okay? Every process of healing hurts, you know, because you have to make the decision and say, I am going to forgive, I'm going to let go of, I'm going to ignore, I'm going to push you out of my life. You know, and you just have to be constantly willing to do all of that and then change. You know, not only is change difficult for the individual, but change can be difficult for people surrounding you, right? Because if they witness your change, then they're like, oh no, you know, she's, you know, moving on, trying to be better. No, I'm moving on so I don't be in this same environment anymore. I'm moving on so that I can change my environment, change my atmosphere, change my outcome, right? And once I begin to set the journey of healing, change, and wellness, okay, I stopped operating out of fear and I started operating out of faith, okay? I had faith that God wanted something better for me, and he doesn't just want something better for me or something different for me, but he wants that for each and every person, okay? He wants each and every one of his children to be physically fit, okay, mentally clear, to have mental clarity, okay, and to have inner peace. The best thing about your spirit, like your spirit can move when somebody else is in the room. You ever heard somebody say certain people have the energy to move my spirit, right? Okay, well, just how you can feel somebody positively move your spirit, you can feel somebody negatively move your spirit too. So you have to always keep those things in alignment, because you do not know where the attack is coming from, okay? Because trust and believe, just like you know your weaknesses, just like God knows your weaknesses, the enemy has studied your weaknesses too. Alrighty, so when you jump on my page and you say, oh, she's talking about mental, physical, and spiritual wellness again, you make sure you put a piece of that in your back pocket every day, because everybody is one bad circumstance away from failing in one of those three areas, okay? And what we know about failure is that you can always recover and turn it into success, but there are some people who do not know how to turn that into success. Alrighty. So if you have any questions or you want me to explain any deeper or any touch on any different areas, make sure you comment, like, love, and have a great day.